bit. A little bit. Okay, I think the sound is working. So let me make sure I turn it off. Okay, so the sound is working. I just have it muted on my end so you don't get an echo. Let me grab my drink. So today I am at my home studio and I am going to be painting this. And it's going to be so fun. I think I pretty much have everything within arm's reach that I will need. Let me grab 2 things and we'll get started. I think you can hear me. I am over here looking for my sponge. Oh, here it is. And then let's get this little devotional. I always like to start with meditating on God's Word. So today is, I admit that I haven't yet acquired the absolute fullness that I am pursuing, but I run with passion into His abundance so that I may reach the purpose that Jesus Christ has called me to fulfill and wants me to discover. Philippians 3:12. That is so true. I'm going to grab I'm going to do it in white. I'm going to write that on my canvas. I had something on this canvas before, so I went ahead and prepped it. I did not like it, so this is what I have. I admit that I haven't yet. You can't really see it, but I am putting it there. Acquired the absolute fullness that I am pursuing, but I run with passion into His abundance so that I may reach the purpose Jesus Christ has called me to fulfill and wants me to discover. Okay. So it is there, whether you can see it or not. The intention is there. So I'm going to sketch my vase, my vase, my blue beautiful vase that I loved so much. I'm going to turn it a little bit so I can see the handle. All right, so I'm looking at my inspiration and I'm going to sketch it. So it's pretty much like the vase is basically as tall as the flowers. So let's put, and it's sitting on a stand that is like, you know, that. Actually, a little bit smaller there. I'm not trying to sketch it perfectly because most of it's actually going to be painted over. So if you watch this, let me know where you're watching from. And you are a painter. It's actually a little bit narrower at the bottom. More like that. These little imperfections don't even matter. Alright, so we're going to put like a big fluffy pink thing there. We're going to put one there. We're going to put a little one there. And we're going to do some leaves. And there's some little olives. I'm not going to get all of my stuff on the canvas. Proportions are a thing, but they don't always have to be exact because I paint very impressionistic. So that is okay. And I am not sketching every single leaf. Alright, I think that is good. These little clumpy things are circles. So, if your kiddos are in school, how is that going? My daughter is back at school. All right, I think that is looking good. All right, we're gonna paint. I mix my paint as I go. That's just the way that I do it. If you come on and watch this later, please leave a comment, maybe hashtag replay, so I know that's how you watched it. Let me know where you're watching from. And yes. I am just thinking in my mind what we're going to do. All right, I think we're going to start with some green. Let me grab a palette. So, I'm going to mix some of this green with some blue. This is fluid. This is a fluid acrylic. And the blue that I'm going to use is not a fluid. It is a thicker one. I don't always use my paintbrushes for what they're supposed to be used for, but let's just get some paint on the canvas. I'm learning to be better with my brush strokes being loose. And if you notice how I'm holding my paintbrush, I'm not holding it like I would hold a pencil. That is a key importance with Impressionism. It's mostly just marks, making marks. Okay, I have a lot of paint mixed that is left over, so I'm going to go ahead and mix in some white. Oh, going live is a little scary, you know, because on the web, on social media, there are some mean people, but I believe that the right people will see it that are supposed to see this, and it will be an inspiration. And if people don't like it, then they can just keep scrolling. All right, that is added my white in there. So now I'm going to let's mix up a little bit of the pink for the flowers. All right, I started with a pink background, and so that pink background is going to pop through a little bit. But the pink flowers is pink, and it's almost like a purpley pink. If you do come watch this, please hit the like button, hit the heart button, do something like that because it's really helpful. Okay, so we're going to go with this red. This is alizarin crimson. I don't necessarily, I know what kind of red it is. I'm going to mix a little bit of that green into it. And then I'm going to add some white that I already had here. So it's pretty muted. I do like that. I'm trying to decide what I'm going to do. Okay, let's do this. I decided I wanted to use my sponge for the flowers. I don't use the sponge very much. I haven't used it for a while. Let's see what happens. Those little circles, the gold circles, are going to poke through a little bit. That's okay. I think it adds some character. Try to wipe as much of that paint off as possible so I don't have to get my sponge wet. And now I'm going to put my brush in the water. And I haven't been able to determine what color I want my background to be. It's going to be a white. And sometimes I decide based on what paint I have left on my palette. So there's a bunch of white. And I'm going to mix it with some of these colors that are here still and make it, this is going to be like a light pink. And very loosely I am going to cover up this pink, but let some of it just go through just a little bit with very loose brush strokes. This brush is a little bit bigger than I probably should use, but sometimes I like to use bigger because it is less, it just covers more space and then it makes it looser. And I love a loose painting, and when accidental things, happy little accidents happen, it makes it more interesting. And then it basically becomes, I would say, a puzzle for me to solve, right? So last week I was at camp and it was so much fun. I got to paint with the children and lead them and teach them. And I learned so much about painting in general by teaching little kids how to paint, how the mind works. It truly is fascinating. I might have to get a smaller brush. I don't like to get smaller brushes. But I think I'm going to have to. See with this brushes. This will work. I started holding my brush like a pencil, and so now I have changed my grip so it will make it a little bit looser. So I have been working on my website, which takes quite a bit of time, being that I'm doing it myself. That was too green. But we all start somewhere. And I am grateful that I know how to do that kind of stuff. I do daydream about the day that I can pay somebody to make all the updates and do all this stuff. The background, ideally, I want it to be loose, but I also don't want it to have so many brush strokes that it draws attention from my actual focal point. So I try to keep it pretty smooth and peaceful in the background. And the idea is to not cover up all of the pink. Which I learned from a good friend from church. That technique is you're underpainting and then letting it poke through. I paint the sides of my canvas. I'm probably going to paint this a few times on different sizes. This inspiration, but it won't be exactly the same every time I do it. I'm just using the paint that I had on my brush. I'm gonna have to mix some more red. So let's get rid of this paintbrush. Sorry, I'm itchy today. Okay, so let's get more of this red. I've been trying to figure out what color I wanted this to be. Just while I was painting, I was thinking a little bit what I wanted other areas to be. And so I'm going to mix some of this green with this red, this deep red. I'm going to go down here. Actually, the little table that it's on goes horizontally, not vertically. I'm always reminded my music stopped. I like my music going when I'm Okay, so when I use this color, it always reminds me, kind of reminds me of a blood color. So it reminds me of what Jesus did, that his blood was shed for all of us. And now I realize that I need there's a little bit of red on my brush there, so it just kind of came off here. And I tend to put my shadows always on this side, so I stopped on the other side. There's your happy little accident. Alright, I'm going to make just a little bit of a darker color here. All right, now we gotta do the blue vase. So I'm gonna put this palette just here. I've still got white on there. I'm gonna get my other palette. I'm gonna spritz my paint with just a little water so it doesn't dry out on me. And we're gonna do some blue. So I am going to use this blue. With a little bit of orange, if I can find the orange. I think every artist probably daydreams about how they would organize their studio. And so if I had a studio that I could organize all my supplies, but yet also have more supplies that I could travel with, that would be amazing. But because I travel so much with my supplies, they are not organized at this point. Because, you know, as a starting artist, supplies cost money. Okay. So I mixed up my blue. And it's a little bit muddier than I want it to be. So I'm going to mix a little bit more blue into it. Muddy, by what I mean by muddy is I mixed the complementary color into it, and that makes mud, or softens the chroma, mutes it basically. I have so much paint mixed. I probably have too much paint mixed, and I do not like to waste paint. Now I could use a wet palette, but I have found that the wet palette and I do not get along very much. I just don't like it. Because I mix colors as I go. If I don't know, it's definitely a learning of what I like and what I don't like, and I don't like the wet palette. I'm learning that it's kind of fun to also, when you're working with heavy body acrylic, to kind of scrape the paint back. So let me grab some. I have an artist friend that recommended these little silicone scrapers. I have really enjoyed using. So I'm going to use the back of a brush. There's something to me about scribble in art, and we get along, Scribble and I. I think that's kind of pretty. You don't always know exactly what's going to happen. I like that. I wasn't planning for the pink to poke through like that, but I did like how that happened. And I've seen artists do that, and so that worked out. Okay, now I'm going to take some of this dark blue that I have and do some like shadow areas up here, because I have so much of it mixed. And that is also bringing that blue into other parts of the painting. Oh, there's my stool behind me. Okay. I think that's not bad. I don't know what to do with my blue. Right. More brushes. There are some little areas. And my little olives. No, I didn't intend for them to be a blue on the base, but on my floral arrangement, I only have olives on this side. They're not on this side. Flowers are on this side. And as I paint, I'm just thinking about what color I still have left on my palette, what I need to do, and how can I use it without wasting it. That is what I'm thinking about. And one thing that I have not done is I have not painted the bottom side of this. Okay, I think this palette is done. Okay. I'm not in love with the sponge. No. Let's see. Let me get some pink. Here it is. Voila. So I have this pink. I'm going to use a little bit of this light magenta, which is a fluid. And then let's get we're going to use this quinacridone. I don't know how to say it. The Q magenta quinacridone. It's that color. And there is a lot of detail in those flowers. But because I like Impressionism, I'm just going to get a bigger brush than I should use, and I'm just going to start having some fun. Now that I've pretty much done everything, let's just say by the book, now I'm just going to start having basically fun. Just like this song that is playing from my original playlist. I covered up my blue there, didn't I? Okay, I have a lot of color left, so guess what? All right, I'm gonna see how I am on time. Oh, I'm at an hour. All right, let me get my leaves done, and then I think we'll wrap this up. All right, I'm gonna put some green on here. Actually, I'm gonna mix my green, some yellow, some blue, and then I will do a little bit of the neon green at the end. And I have to do my olives. Yellow. Let's do this yellow. All right. Since I have all this yellow, I'm gonna get a different paintbrush because I don't want that. So it looks very cool. So I have this yellow and this pink. So let's just add a little bit of yellow. The light is on this side. And then just a tiny, tiny bit of blue on my vase. I'm loving that, but I need a different brush. And I'm going to use a little bit of this white. Beauty is in the imperfections, so I am not trying to get this perfectly inside my outlines. I am ultimately having fun, and it is not fun for me to sit and try to do something perfectly. I think I want just a little bit of that warmer red in my flower. This one. All right, I think it's done. I think it just needs one thing. Trying not to overwork it, but that's kind of fading into the background. All right, I'm gonna end this, and hopefully you catch the replay on YouTube. I love you. Let me know where you're watching from. Let me know what questions you have if you stayed to the end. I love you. Bye.